we interview experts in the field who can give both bird's eye view of what's happening in the industry, as well as provide strategic insights to help you prepare for the future. Today we have with us Victor Paan, who is the National Director of Digital Innovation at Encore Canada. Victor has had some 20 years of experience in the conference management space and really takes over digital and virtual events. And so all our questions today will be around getting you prepared to have in virtual events. Victor, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. We have with us as well, my name is Elise Murad, and we have with us Maria.
Hello, guys. So, Victor, thank you again for joining us. Right off the bat, our first question is, when it comes to deciding to host an event remotely, what are the first things that we need to start thinking about? Are there any tips, practical techniques to make sure it's engaging?
Yeah, I think the big thing is to think about the attendee experience right out of the gate. I think that's the most important part. We're definitely living in some strange times. We're at home with family, pets. We've got kids that may need us throughout the day at different times. Different distractions at home. So we have to think about how we engage our attendees definitely, and how to build our experience. So that's kind of the starting point. Understand that if you typically would have given a 15-minute break between your sessions if you're hosting online, give a half hour. People have to go and make their coffee now, maybe make a snack, and at the same time, maybe make something for someone else in the house as well, and then get back to being engaged again. So factor in those things and factor in time, and also to be cognizant that, when you're at home, you're on your computer, you can be distracted to doing other things. Keep your learning moments tight, concise. I'd suggest 45 minutes to an hour is plenty enough of time to spend on a topic. So look at things as micro learning moments, and keep your messaging focused and to the point.
Amazing.
And for a lot of persons, this is new territory for them. Yeah. You have COVID-19 has really forced us to pivot really quickly. And so I guess some of the questions that we have is, if you think about some of the virtual conferences that have been held, can you point to one or two of them that have been particularly successful, that have managed to be interactive and engaging, people can look to as a model?
Yeah, I think if you look at the industry events that actually our group of companies did put on a couple of days ago, it was a long run of short sessions, so adhered to that 45-minute rule, and that was inclusive of Q&A as well. So it was a global sharing of knowledge from the virtual event side, and it took a broad spectrum, a large brush across, talking about times when we will gather again, and the idea of production and studio and all those things. But it did focus on the aspect of social distancing and kept things very concise and tight. So it was very well done, and we got great feedback on from the planners that did attend, and customers of ours that they did take away great learnings and go in for pockets of time and not have to spend the full day and pick and choose on topics that meant something for them. So again, I think putting that into practice is a huge thing. So that's one of the events that I would say that has gone over quite well. I was impressed with the overall agenda build and the way things were put together. So out of the gate right now, from a standpoint of what's happening, that was very well done. And not to pat ourselves on the back, but it was actually a good crew, and took a lot of input from our industry folks, and we're looking forward. I mean, the things that we're doing now, previous to this, and I guess my focus is more on we could tick off virtual events that have taken place, but I don't think these events have really had to been delivered the way that we're delivering events at this point in time. So I'm excited for some events that are coming forward where it is completely virtual, and we can talk a little more in detail about how that's done, and some of the technologies that are helping us keep everyone, including those that are putting on the event, virtual as well. So that's a key topic for sure.
That's pretty cool. Tell us a little bit more about some of those technologies.
Yeah, so what you see a lot of us are doing now in the industry is looking to produce a produced event still with everyone sitting at their homes, right? So how do we do that? And I think what we've done is looked at ways to bring that white glove treatment of technology and technicians and technical support to the meeting space still. So in a space like this where we have people meeting together in a face-to-face two-way conversation, this type of area is great for the presenters, for technology. We're able with some of our technologies now to have a virtual stage manager, which is something that I don't think we've ever spoken about prior to a few weeks ago. So, but that is a topic of discussion now, is to have someone on the back end that can manage your meeting technically, and even to the point where we'll provide a confidence monitor as a window into the space, controlled by someone able to share speaking notes, able to share video playbacks, so presenters know what's going into the attendee portal, which is a separate technology, and we keep that separate and controlled as a webcast. So you're taking these two technologies that have existed to kind of carve out a better experience for both the attendees and the presenters. So less of a product where it's maybe one service that all the attendees, all the presenters are all in one mashed up technology. Tends to be tough to control Q&A, control people's microphones from coming on unexpectedly, all those things that can, make a live event, unmanageable. So taking those two and separating the attendee experience and keeping the staging area very specific, we can even have a VOG, voice of God, come into this space and not go out to the webcast. So the virtual stage manager can cue presenters, make them feel comfortable where they're at, count out a video roll over top of everything, and nobody on the webcast would notice this happening. Just the presenters in the room and the moderator would have that knowledge that all that is going on. So those are the things right now we're trying to bring a level of control back into the meeting space, which was, I think a lot of people are scrambling to do that, and still allow for a branded and produced look for the attendees.
Amazing.
It sounds as if this provides, again, as you said, more control, and it allows for a seamless experience.
It does, yeah. And so it really targets that communication and not being, interrupted or, sidelined by the glitches and folks that don't know how to maybe, mute their microphone or their camera and all those things. It gives control to the back end to be able to truly produce a proper event.
Amazing. And you mentioned something about a confidence monitor?
Yeah, like you would on stage, you'd have something that would show you maybe your speaking notes, give any details, presenter, a look at what's going on, maybe Q&A questions that are coming in. So, you take one of these, webcam as an access to be able to produce, give content to the presenters in the room. And that's only shown to the presenters in the room. It never goes out to the attendee side of things. So you're giving that, those things that in a live event where you'd be on stage, you'd have some of those feedback, presentation feedback to the presenters themselves so that they understood where they were, what was going on, countdown clocks, all those great things. Think about the way you produce an event. You can put it into these technologies and really help the presenters stay on point and know where they're at in the presentation and feel those comforts of, how they're used to presenting, which is on stage in a live environment. So those tools are helpful.
Sounds like there's a new role that's been created in the virtual stage manager. Tell me a little bit more about how quickly that person had to upskill and learn new skill set and what does that entail exactly?
Yeah, we've onboarded very quickly and we've pivoted to keep our folks working as well, which is very important right now. As we all know, the industry came to a screeching halt very quickly in the live event stream. So keeping folks working and learning and doing all those great things is super important. So those things are quickly pivoted on, and we've had people up for producing these events now within a quick 2-week turnaround, and have gone out there and are doing them now on large scale and small scale, depending on the need.
Is this just for now? Is this pivot just for however the foreseeable future of COVID, or are you seeing there being there being a shift, much longer term, much more medium to longer term in terms of having more events that are remote and that are virtual, whether that's for accessibility, reducing carbon footprint, whether that's just in the nature of where we're going for the future of work.
Yeah, I really do see that there is a shift, and I think a lot of us that spoken to industry professionals, we do see a shift coming, and that'll be, we have to start thinking about maybe travel, industry now, corporations, people thinking about, do we need to send, 8 or 10 people to a conference on exhibit floors, and is it going to be maybe one person selected and, the other teams back, maybe attend virtually. So that whole idea of what we're building for the future, I think, is on everyone's minds right now. And I think you're going to see an accelerated push to get to some really cool virtual spaces with, full-on, augmented reality bits put into it. So not necessarily doing virtual headsets or anything like that, but being able to experience things in a different way, almost, dare I say, through like a gaming engine on the back end, and creating space for people to come into and experience, not bricks and mortar, but a virtual representation of that. Right? So, and then interact with people that may be there live. And so how do we do that? How do we bring an engaging environment digitally to those at home? And how do we connect those people to those people that are live on site? So all these things are discussions and technology discussions that we're having, and trying to, see what that roadmap looks like, and where we can go with it. And I know that our customers are thinking those things too. And there's not a lot out there right now that can achieve these discussions and talks, but that, there's projects at work and people looking towards getting it there. So, we are going down that road for sure. It will change things. Absolutely.
Sounds like we're living in very exciting and interesting times.
We are. I mean, it's but move quickly, and I think it on certain levels it's making us reflect and think about the important things, and how we need to maybe shift and go along with that, and help protect others, and create some spaces where we can still gather, whether that's virtually or live. So we'll see how the world shifts to this, but there's definitely a new road ahead.
As this shift continues, the need for accessibility will ideally be a priority for a lot of events, online and workshops included. Are there any tips or pieces of advice or programs that you think people should utilize to make sure that their event is accessible for everyone?
Yeah, and I think this is something that we're, it's a great question. It's something that I don't think previous to this, there was definitely thought put into it, but I don't think on a global scale the way we're looking at it now. So absolutely, it goes back to the standards and basics too, of thinking about that there are people that maybe, have impairment for visually or hearing. So, in your streaming content and in your webcasts, think about using captioning, think about using those lower thirds of your video space to do that. Bring in, sign language as an option. You can produce that into, that what we were talking about earlier with people gathering in this space and being able to show the presenter and someone signing as well at the same time to provide that option. There are new breakthroughs too in AI, and the idea of simultaneous interpretation and translation being done, and then piped again lower thirds across the bottom. Select your language. We're getting better and better with these technologies. There's still some specifics in certain groups and associations where maybe in scientific communities too, where the naming nomenclature of certain things will be missed by an AI bot. But again, even in there is human error too when you're doing it live with someone doing live translation as well. So I think if we kind of let go of some of those ideas of things having to be perfect, and then we can start to integrate some of these things, and really just to push the boundaries. Because the more we use it, the better that AI will become, right? So some of this machine learning stuff, and use it. It'll get better and it learns, and that's the whole process. So we're working on that as well, and integrating some of those technologies that will hopefully help accessibility as well for everyone.
Perfect. Online events are bringing people together, which is great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I know that a lot of the persons are at different stages. So some persons are really thinking about how do I host a meeting remotely, especially since we're working from home. Other persons are really thinking of a large scale conference. Like, should I postpone it until after this pandemic has passed, or should I think about having it online? And others are thinking about like something like an AGM. Where do we stand on that? For the first part of that spectrum, where persons are, for example, using Zoom or another teleconference, and they're worried about things like privacy and hacking and video bombing, what are some of the tips and advice that you would give to them?
Yeah, I mean, and again, this won't be a knock on Zoom. We also support Zoom, where we deliver our services as well. So at Encore and our sister company, Zoom is something that we've all utilized and utilized internally at times for group chats. And but yeah, Zoom, it is a concern. The security side is a concern, and I think it's at a head right now. Right now, we're using something completely different that has a security and has some encrypted, back end to it. So, and allowing to lock users out. And because it's not such a broadly used technology, it's not as prone to people trying to absolutely attack something. Whereas Zoom has now become kind of the face of online communication. Everyone's jumping on Zoom meetings, so it's easy. Everyone has this accessibility to Zoom. So maybe look at other options, who you're working with, find out what they're using, ask for the security protocols that are delivered through the service that they're offering. So that's something which is very important, especially you're getting to the medical communities and government, and you need to, and even financials, you need to have that security. So these are things that we do think about. So just make sure that your provider's providing you something that is absolutely secure, and that goes between how is everything being processed, and what does that mean to the way you're connecting the technologies into the webcast platform, or however you're delivering your content, that everything is secure. So we get a lot of questions too, is can I embed whatever I find? If there's something that a customer wants to embed in, ask and say, hey, can you drop this tool in? And our answer is always, as long as it's secure, right? As long as it has a secure protocol to it. Otherwise, you can always make the checklist, down the line of anything you add to your digital communication. Make sure that you don't leave those holes for hacking or anyone to get in.
Sounds like security and cybersecurity is particularly important at this time. As we are in times that we really have to pivot and really have to upskill as quickly as possible, what are some of the things that we should be reading? What are some of the things that we should be doing if we are looking to host an event online?
I think just understanding, it goes back to that attendee experience. I mean, consider who you're communicating with, and consider, where they are and what they're doing. So I don't know if there's anything that I would point anyone to, necessary spot of saying that there's documentation or things out there that are critical to look at or read. Or it's such changing times. It's happening. Just make sure that the partners you choose to work with are at the forefront and are looking at it. So ask the questions. Ask for capabilities, and even if you ask beyond of what's doable, the current state, at least you're getting that response back of what people are looking at, and maybe it'll push all of us to design and think differently, right? Because there's that whole idea. I truly believe in design thinking, and take those, take questions and take thoughts and see how you can foster change in the way we're doing things. So that's something that's very important. So there's nothing out there right now that I would say from a periodical standpoint or something online, right? So you have to read, ask your providers and the specialists that work in this environment, and ask those questions, and be precise about it, and also let the folks that are driving this virtual events industry to help you coordinate your agenda. Don't be afraid to let folks kind of help you drive how you're going to communicate, and again, be prepared to be flexible. A virtual event is not a live event, and you just have to think in those terms.
It sounds like we should be following you as a thought leader and as a driver and as a developer of a lot of this at this time. What are you most excited about?
I'm excited about, I think, the way forward with just the way we're delivering things. There's exciting developments happening. I think seeing where these technologies end up, where they take us, and how we communicate in a changing environment. Those are the things that are driving me right now, and making sure that people are safe. So it's that's the stuff that drives me. I'm passionate about keeping this live events industry rolling and being viable when we come out of this. So making sure that folks are working, making sure that people get to do what they're passionate about, and that's it. It's delivering people communicating and getting together and gathering, whether virtually or live. That's what excites me. It's how are we doing it, and how is that changing? And there's some great things coming up.
Amazing. I'm always fascinated by the resilience and the adaptability and just the innovation that human beings have, and it sounds like you're applying that to the live events and conference space. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for all the practical and strategic insights that you shared with us today.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you both. Cheers.
Thank you.